that this may well work for. It allows you to generate more buyers, to create a quicker sale, and really establish higher pricing for your clients because you have something else to negotiate with besides just the sales price of the house. You can negotiate the terms of the note. Do I want to do 10 years, 20 years? Do I want to do a balloon? Do I want to do a 5% note or an 8% note? So you have more to negotiate, and that creates a good advantage. It's an advantage for the property owner because in many instances they just get tired of sitting doing nothing. They have no cash coming in, they have expenses going out, and for some people, as I suggested before, they just want to move on with their lives, and this creates an option for them. A third, somewhat unsung benefit to seller financing is that they qualify for installment sales treatment. So for many property owners that have been in their home for a long time, that have a lot of capital gains, that would have to pay 15% federal tax and 9% state tax, it's a way of deferring that 24% tax impact and spreading it out over the life of the note so that they would recognize only a portion of the gain during the consecutive months that they would be receiving over the years of the note. That's a real advantage. People ask me frequently, why did I get into this business, or what are my credentials in coming into it? I'll share with you my professional bio a little bit later, but just as it relates to my credentials for seller financing, I'm part of a network of about 25 seller finance specialists around the country. And we've pooled together, we have our weekly conference calls, we do joint marketing. We're trying to improve the professionalism, the transparency, and the consistency with which seller financing is offered in the market. It's all on the back of a colleague, an affiliate of mine in Dallas, Texas, who's been in this business for 30 years, and he himself has closed more than 30,000 seller finance notes. His name is Eddie Speed, for what value it may be, but if you want to look him up on the web, you certainly can. But he is probably the best recognized expert in seller financing today. And so what I've found in starting my own business about 2 years ago is that my access to this network is of great value, because if I don't know the answer to your questions, I have access to people that do. And lastly, as a result of pooling our resources, we've been able to represent and express to you that we buy more notes, which is part of our business, than anyone else in the country. So it is really a value to establish these credentials up front. So to get into some of the specifics of where seller financing is, how it's growing and why it's growing, the simple fact is that at least 50%, and some experts are saying 60 to 70% of buyers that could qualify for a conventional loan 3 or 4 or 5 years ago can't qualify today. Really the A-, even some of the A borrowers, because they have interruptions in their employment history, can't qualify today. So it's creating a real void in the market for qualified buyers, and those that do qualify are obviously being very, very picky, and price is what they're mostly about. So you've got to think, when you think about seller financing, can you imagine that there are just some number of deserving buyers in the group of just missed creditors that might be worthy of a loan? We consider most realtors that I've talked to have been in the market for less than 10 years. And for those that have their perception of seller financing, to the extent that they've dealt with it before or have some understanding of it from the past, is that it was principally about subprime properties and subprime borrowers. In fact, when in the early part of the last decade, when basically anybody that could fog a mirror could get a loan, seller financing was 1 in 400 mortgages in the country, as a very small percentage, as you can appreciate. It's what we called unique properties. I mean, they were the rehabber houses, they were the mobile home and lands, they were the vacant land, they were buyers that couldn't verify their income. I mean, they were basically property owners that nobody in their right mind wanted to lend to, but there was a market if you structured it right and if you charged a high enough rate of interest. But what we've seen in the past couple of years, since lending has become much more stringent, is that seller financing had between 2008 and 2009 grown to 1 in 50 mortgages. So that was a 2% market share. So it had come from virtually nothing to a 2% market share by the end of 2009, and some data that we just received a couple of weeks ago saying that number is now up to 1 in 25. So this is a very significant and dramatic increase in the utilization of seller financing. So it's no longer about subprime properties and subprime borrowers. It's truly about ranging from everywhere from $100,000 properties up to multi-million dollar properties. In fact, before I came in here, I was